Hi Cubbies, it's Mrs. Karen. Are you ready for story time today? Now remember last week Timothy and Cubbie had found beetles in the apple orchard, and that was a problem. So let's see what Dad's doing now, okay? It says, while Dad worked on the big beetle traps, Cubbie and Timothy set off to catch a few beetles of their own. "Where are you going?" called Lovey from behind the fence at the petting zoo. "Bah, we're going on a beetle hunt," said Timothy. "Ooh, that sounds like fun," said Lovey. Cubbie and Timothy hiked into the apple orchard, and Katie Collie followed along to help. "There's one," shouted Timothy, pointing to a leaf. He picked up the beetle between his fingers and dropped it into his jar and closed the lid. "Ruff, ruff!" Katie Collie pointed her nose at a beetle on the ground and trapped it under her paw. "Good dog, Katie," said Timothy. He opened the lid of the jar to drop Katie's beetle inside, but when he did, his first beetle flew away. "Oh, I caught one," shouted Cubbie. Cubbie had caught a beetle in his net. He carried his net to the jar. Timothy opened the lid, but as he did, Katie's beetle flew away. Timothy groaned. "So far, we have caught a total of 1 beetle. This is not going very well." "What are those?" Cubbie pointed to a line of shapes in the dirt. "They look like footprints, but they have a strange shape," said Timothy. Cubbie peered through his magnifying glass. "Yes, they look round, sort of like a beetle's body. If we follow them, maybe we'll find the biggest beetle of all." "Ruff, ruff!" Katie led the way with Cubbie and Timothy right behind her. Suddenly, a white woolly animal leaped out at them and knocked them all over with a big hug. They landed in a heap of giggles. "Lovey lamb," shouted Timothy, "were those your hoof prints in the dirt?" "Yes," said Lovey with a giggle. "Can I join the hunt too?" "Sure, just for a little while," said Timothy. Timothy and his friends weren't catching many beetles, but at least they were having fun. Later that day, Timothy went with Dad to set the big beetle traps. "Here's how it works," said Dad. "The trap makes a smell that beetles absolutely love. We set the trap far away from the apple trees so the beetles will fly to the trap. When they come, they bump against the yellow top and fall down into the bag below." "Whoa," said Timothy, smiling. "I think that will work much better than my jar." The next morning, Timothy and Dad checked the traps. They counted over 100 beetles. "We're doing well, aren't we, Dad?" asked Timothy. Dad shook his head sadly. "We're trying, but there are still too many beetles eating the leaves on our apple trees. I don't know what else to do." A few days later, Timothy and Dad checked the traps again. There weren't as many beetles this time. "That's strange," said Dad. "Let's check the trees." Timothy and Dad rode the tractor to the apple trees and hopped out. They studied the leaves, but they didn't see many beetles there either. "Squawk! Squawk!" Timothy and his dad looked up. They saw a flock of blackbirds with yellow beaks nesting in the oak trees near the barn. "Those are starlings," said Dad. "Sometimes they're pesky, but other times they help. The starlings like to eat beetles for lunch. They also feed them to their babies." Ew! Timothy imagined what a beetle might taste like. I wonder if the starlings helped get rid of the beetles for us. Maybe the starlings are the stars of the day," said Dad with a grin. "Go starlings!" shouted Timothy. "Let's pray and thank God. He created the starlings. He created you and me and all our apple trees. He is strong enough to take care of us and all of His creation. What a mighty God. And that is your story. And you know what's really special about this story, I think, is remember last week, Dad had a problem. And when he had a big problem, he asked God to help him. And this week, we got to see God's answer. And God said, yes, I will help you with your problem. And I think that's a pretty special story. So Cubbies, have a great week, and I will be back with you next week. Bye.